Bat music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who just rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Returns, the podcast where what it all comes down to is talking about Tim Burton's 1992 Batman movie, Batman Returns, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And joining him is genuine freak, John Parker.
And joining us once again from just the other day, and from one of our hiatus episodes, and from the first season as well. We have writer, podcaster, filmmaker, Omar Najam.
Hello.
Welcome back once again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're coming back. This is the official wake of the duck. We do have the little finger sandwiches are just over in the corner there. And
Pour a
help yourself.
limoncello out for our fallen comrade.
Yes.
That is one of the things. Like, I don't know if it's a big thing in America, but like one of the things in like my hometown is because Ireland loves a good death. Like, we always enjoy it. If someone dies, everyone just congregates instantly. It's like, it's insane how quickly they get things together. And it's like, there are people who will like tour a town just looking for like a wake. Like, every single wake that goes on, these people will land in. Because I guess they know it's free food. You go in, they'll have some kind of cheese and onion sandwiches or something. You know, it's good. And you can come in and all you have to do is be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss," and then just sit in the corner and just get your free cup of tea and a couple of sandwiches, and you're off.
Right. So, but what you're making me imagine now, Niall, is an Irish version of the Wedding Crashers, but it's wakes.
That's actually a good pitch for a movie right there. It's just
great.
Wake Crashers.
Because the low point of Wedding Crashers is that they meet Will Ferrell, who's a funeral crasher, and they're like, "Wow, we can never be like this." But flip it, make that a positive.
Yeah. Make it like at least a bit of cheeky fun. Like, they're doing something wrong, but you love them. They're rogues.
Yeah, they cheer up the wake. They bring a little bit of life to it.
I think the people who do that in my hometown, they are known. Like, people see them coming. And they're like, "Oh, there they are," and they do not bring any fun to it. They're like, just sitting quietly. They're just there for the free food. So,
you've got to jazz it up for a film.
it's like some guy just coming in like, "Hey, everybody, how's it going today?"
Yeah.
Just confetti cannons going up. Could would it be called Four Funerals and a Wedding? Is that on the table?
I like it. Because, by attending one of the wakes, one of them can find true love.
That's really good.
We're writing a masterpiece here. Come on.
You find a way to work the duck actively into it.
Yes.
And then get a limoncello sponsorship on the side.
Exactly.
I think we're really cooking here. But
good.
anyway, we are actually here beyond writing this Wake Crashers idea. We're actively here to talk about minute 110 of Batman Returns, which begins with the eerie silence, the calm before the storm, and ends one minute later with the Penguin going into one of his trademark sort of rampages, basically, where he can't keep his cool for too long, basically. But so I do love here that we actually get the return of one of the Penguin's signature moves now, which is the full on body slam. Because he did it when he was fleeing the press conference earlier, where his scheme was rumbled, so he needed to make a quick exit. He just body slammed a guy on his way off the stage. And now he's just like, "Oh, that worked really well. I'll try it in this Batman guy and see what happens."
It's crazy. Yeah, Penguin from off the top rope, from out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Again, he's very nimble. Like, he's just, after been in a car crash, the fact that he's got the foresight to quietly creep up to the top of the wreckage and then jump off it without any kind of like, oh my god, I've just been in a car crash, you know?
He's quite sneaky, actually. Like, if you wanted to bring the character back, this is actually a good place to sort of wrap up the story. Batman heads over to the duck boat car thing, and the Penguin is gone, as we see. Like, you could leave it at that. Like, where could he have gone? You know,
I'd love that though if they did that, and then like literally in like the final act of Batman and Robin, like as he's getting ready to defeat Mr. Freeze, out of nowhere the Penguin just does this move to him
from out of
nowhere, like still wearing the onesie and the little Lord Fauntleroy Dicky thing he's got.
That would be perfect. Just as you think Batman's wrapped it all up. You know, that guy you forgot about 2 movies ago, here he is.
He even just left it, like, just in the middle of the friggin', like, the Dark Knight or something. He's going into the interrogation room to talk to the Joker, and all of a sudden just, like, what the, he's not even in the right damn franchise, what's going on?
It could be a constant presence in Batman's life. Whenever he's trying to do anything, just the Penguin will fly at him, like, Jesus Christ, and disappear into the night.
Time to go pick up a newspaper.
That'd be perfect.
It's like a more nefarious version of Kato from the Pink Panther movies.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But
and Penguin's doing this all while it's freezing cold outside as well.
Yeah, it seems to be like they don't ever really make a big a deal of it as it is in the comics, but like the illusion is that the Penguin really likes the cold.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, in the other scripts and stuff, they really pronounce that, like, yes, he is a man who thrives in sub-zero temperatures and stuff. But this, I guess we're just supposed to be like, well, he doesn't seem to be cold, so I guess he likes it like this. But...
Basically, that's all we've got to go with.
Just some context clues, yeah.
So we even had, like, debates about it, where, like, when he had his little mini Batmobile, and then he had the fans on, and we're like, I guess that's to cool him down, because he likes it when it's cold. But then there was also debate, like, maybe that's to be, like, the simulation of wind in his hair because he's driving. Like, oh, yeah, what is it then? Is he really into the cold? Or is he just, like, yeah, Tim Burton was like, oh, yeah, I didn't think that he's just, I guess he was just fleeing. He didn't have time to go and put on his big fur coat and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, how else would he be a comfortable temperature? He must just love the freezing cold like those drafts have said, because... This outfit is very skimpy. Let's be honest. This is a very thin material.
This is a skimpy penguin. That's
yeah. Well, speaking of outfits as well, actually, I love how...
I would love if you got, like, for your girlfriend's birthday, it's like, I bought you a skimpy outfit.
Oh,
she goes up and it's just the penguin's onesie lying on the bed.
How did you know what I've been up to? Oh, you've been peeping on me again. But no, I love how
when you're in the middle of it, all of a sudden I just like do a body slam from the top, like
sexy. I love how Keaton still can't move too well in the suit. Like they've upgraded the suit as we've talked about in the past, but when he stands up to get out of the bat ski boat thing, it looks so awkward. He can barely move. He's kind of somehow shuffles himself to his feet.
I will say that is true that there's awkwardness in the movement, but the actual shot of him emerging, something about the lighting on the cowl, he looks really cool though. Like, it's one of the most impressive appearances of him. Like just in terms of just the shot, it's like, oh no, that looks awesome. That he just looks really like fearsome and stuff at that point. Which I'm enjoying in the past couple of minutes actually, because I know we alluded to last week that there was a bit of sort of creeping tension from the criminals, the fact that Batman was approaching and he was like this ominous threat and stuff, and then to see him looking so sort of intimidating and cool and dark and stuff coming out, it's getting back to like, oh, we almost forgot, yeah, Batman's supposed to be like this really fearsome, you know, horrific urban legend to the criminals and stuff, and you get a little flavor of it brought back here.
Yeah, I do miss that. Like, there should be more of a focus on it, I think. Not that I want to criticize this film. It's perfect.
I think really what this underlines is, like, Batman didn't have the most legitimate plan. I think we can admit that in this minute, where it was like, Batman's like, I'm going to body slam the duck with my vehicle. There we go. And didn't foresee the Penguin body slamming Batman in return. You know, it's kind of like why a punch doesn't really make sense, because you're just like, oh, but then you're stunned a little bit because like you just hit someone with your fist. It's not a good way to like attack somebody. This was the punch, where it's like, okay, great, now what? Like it probably could have been done like a net. I think a net might have been a little might have been a little bit more smooth of an attack. But it gives us such a great, like the Penguin rolling out onto the snow and just preparing for a fight is the coolest thing in the world.
Hell yeah. He's not scared at this point.
No.
He's like, right, let's do it. Let's end this.
That's the thing, though. Like, this is one of the lines, though, when he's on Batman's back that always sticks out to me in the movie. I guess, if not now, when? To talk about it. Because he's like, oh, yeah, you're just jealous because I'm a genuine freak and you have to wear a mask. And then Batman's like,
that.
You might be right.
I love
and it's
that.
like, yeah, but... Okay, so let's break this down. So like what the movie's saying here, because that is an allusion, I think, to an earlier line where Alfred was like, you know, like, must you be the only lonely man beast in town? Like, it's kind of indicating the Batman himself might be kind of jealous of the idea that the Penguins now come in and by being this weirdo freak is like stealing his thunder, or he's just jealous of the fact that he is actually like a mutated, you know, fiendish, frightening looking thing, and Batman has to put on the airs of it. No, but at the same time, then the other plot point of the film is him and his relationship with Selina Kyle, who he is attracted to. Catwoman, Batman's attracted to Catwoman because she is like him. So it's kind of like, is he jealous of people stealing his idea? Or is he into it? Or does he like her because, you know, she's also wearing a costume, whereas I'm jealous of this guy who doesn't have to wear a costume? It's just like a weird... I'm just wondering what exactly they were going for there.
He's just into it if they're hot, basically. He's shallow.
I got a real simple rule.
They gotta be hot. Well, it's an interesting one, and you know, I was on a similar kind of train of thought. Like in my mind, I was thinking, like, does Batman want to be a freak? I don't mean in the sheets. I mean in this sense, you know. Does he want to be what the Penguin is? Because that's got to be a no, right? He doesn't actually want to be a monster. If you say he puts on airs and graces, that's the whole point, isn't it? It's a show to terrify people, but he doesn't want to be the Penguin.
Well, the thing is, then it's like, you could take this into like really deep things of like, is Batman, as Bruce Wayne the character, has he got a kind of a weird, like almost like a body dysmorphia thing going on, where he's like, I don't feel like, ever since my parents' death, I don't feel like a person anymore. I feel like I am more comfortable when I'm dressed up as Batman. I am that, like, if I could, I would just be Batman all the time and go around in the suit all the time. And he would actively would want to be like, I wish I was like a giant bat. Like, because I feel that's more who I am now than this billionaire, playboy, philanthropist character. And it's like, that in itself is an interesting angle to go down. I would encourage future Batman directors to maybe explore that as well. If you can do it in a light that wouldn't make it incredibly offensive to like people who actually have body dysmorphia.
Well, you could handle it in a more, you know, in a kind of sensitive fashion. It would be interesting. I've not seen them go that route before.
Yeah, it could be an interesting one. But then it is always the fact that, like, so he says that to the Penguin, but then he also he doesn't seem to be jealous of Catwoman. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm into her. So it's kind of like, it seems to be weirdly at odds to me. But maybe there's something very obvious that I'm missing. It's like, no, it is just like he resents the Penguin because he is genuinely a freak, but he likes Catwoman because she is not genuinely a freak. She's just a damaged person who also dresses up in a suit. Like, is that what the point is? Like, or, yeah.
I think that's probably the closest we're going to get to an answer there, because she's more like him. He's kind of halfway to what the Penguin is, and that seems fine with him. That seems acceptable. That's where he wants to draw the line, maybe.
Also, like the Penguin, like the idea of not having to wear a mask and doing what you want to do is such a great little brilliant stroke of a dig from Penguin. Yeah. Because Penguin knows that deep down, like, Penguin knows that Bruce has to hide no matter what. And that's, whereas Penguin's like, I'm kind of free in a weird way. Like, I get to do the things I want. and you don't.
Yeah. He's got a much freer, he's got a more fulfilling life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Batman doesn't have a life.
He's like, yeah, you have to pretend. You have to go do something else for half the day. I don't. I get to spend all my time building like these giant ducks that you're destroying. Whereas like you could have twice the amount of bat technology if this was your full-time gig.
Yeah, especially because in this series it seems to imply that he and Alfred make all the stuff.
Right.
So he would literally need the free time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like
I do also think though, like,
yeah.
to still have like the interconnectedness of the Penguin and Frank Reynolds in my head, because like he's like a hair away. This character is he's essentially playing Frank Reynolds again, or Frank Reynolds about 20 years before It's Always Sunny even started. And it's I do like the Penguin knows to find out like he's like, oh, you're jealous because I get to do all this stuff, but you have to hide behind a mask and stuff. But then he finds out, like, oh, Batman's actually Bruce Wayne. He's like, you realize all that money? If I had that money, I'd be off banging whores every goddamn night. What the hell are you doing wasting your time with this Batman stuff?
There's also an element to it, which is really interesting, where, I don't know, I feel like Penguin just striking out and, like, lashing out in every way possible is just a great writing of the character, where he's body slamming and emotionally digging at Batman, and he's just so upset that this isn't really Penguin like sitting and planning what he's gonna say. Like, this isn't like something that he's like, ooh, I'm about to encounter him, it's gonna be on my grounds. Penguin's been thrust into the situation. His entire plan was just to escape on the duck, and now Batman is just like chasing down. And this is the stuff that's firing from his subconscious. And it just kind of gives me a little bit more admiration for this character of like, wow, you really are a villain. Like, you really do just want to hurt this guy's body and feelings.
He's trying anything at this point, I think. He's like, this is the moment. We need to... I need to get rid of this guy now any way I can, but I can't outfight him. What do I do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's quite sad again and quite cute. It's like the Penguin knows his limitations. Bless him.
Yes. Yes.
But although considering like aspects of identity and whatnot, the one thing we've yet to touch upon in the entire season, which is kind of weird, because I remember like this was one of the first like, oh, always keep that well there because that's a good thing to tap on. Whereas we're getting into the final moments of the Penguin in the movie. Like, I know he pops up again later, but this is like, we only got about maybe 3 or 4 more minutes of Danny DeVito in the film. So it's like, oh, better get into this now. Of other actors who were up for, or considered, allegedly, according to IMDb, to play the Penguin. And this is so long have I been waiting to crack out this list. Because I took a screenshot of it on my phone. And beneath it, there is a ad for the first season of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. So that's how long we've been recording this show. Is that I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. Like freaking 2 seasons of a show ago.
Yeah, oh my god, that's insane. And the beauty of this is, I remember we talked about it, but it's been that long that I've probably forgotten some of these myself.
Yeah, but it's the main one, and who's the one I can kind of see working. Dustin Hoffman apparently was. They say he was approached, but he declined it. So, I mean, I could see Dustin Hoffman playing the Penguin. Like, that's
maybe not this Penguin.
Yeah, I could almost see him kind of playing this Penguin, but he would suit a more like upper crust, effete version of the character. He'd be closer to like the the gentleman of crime kind of Penguin. Basically, it'd basically be Captain Hook, only in a Penguin outfit. Basically. Other people considered were Marlon Brando. Can't imagine. Actually, I could imagine him doing something with the character. I can't imagine it being something that wouldn't have killed Tim Burton to try to get him to do properly.
And I could imagine it being, he would do something with the character as long as it was seated.
Yes. He'd be just in he is just attached to the duck boat. That is the entirety of the character.
Never leaves it.
And then he finds out, like, oh, this organ grinder, this organ grinder guy gets to have a monkey. I want a monkey. And you just have, like, a little mini penguin on his shoulder the whole time or something. Like, It's like I have more to talk about this now. I kind of want to see what Marlon Brando's version of the Penguin would have been.
Marlon's not getting out of the duck today, not for this scene. So we're just gonna have to shoot some wides, use Marlon's body double. This is
No one will know. It'll be fine.
yeah, it's just not gonna happen.
But other people, going through, won't go through the whole list because we can pepper it out through the rest of the minutes and stuff. But Christopher Lee, which is
okay.
I don't know. He's a bit too grand to play the Penguin, I think. So you're just jealous because I am a genuine freak and you have to wear a mask. I don't quite get that. But,
No, any type of the Penguin. Not this Penguin especially, but not even the posh fancy man Penguin.
No, he's a bit. I can imagine Christopher Lee as a Batman villain. Ra's al Ghul, yes, 100%. But anyone else is a bit like, I don't know. He's just not. Christopher Lee is campy, but not in the usual campy way. He's in a more over-the-top grandeur, but he's not in a kind of silly 60s Batman campy fashion. Like he's...
If we redesign the suit a bit, a Mr. Freeze
yeah.
And it would be...
Yeah, Mr. Freeze actually would work. I'm getting bored with that.
Because Mr. Freeze, we talk about, when we talk about Mr. Freeze, we're very practical, unfairly practical, where we're just like, well, of course, his wife, he needs to freeze his wife for forever, and because of that, he has to live in a frozen suit, and we say it like it's the most standard thing, where it's just but this is the normal Batman villain, Deadshot, real weird, right? Deadshot's really out of left center, but Mr. Freeze totally checks out. I feel like we need a little bit of operatic grandeur to honor the character properly, where it's so what was your plan? Did you take her to a doctor? No, I froze her. And I, too, am covered in ice technology, and I shoot it with my ray gun. Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty strange.
Someone should have pitched that, though, too, because that's a very kind of although that's Vincent Price, I'm thinking of, kind of House of Wax kind of thing.
Yes.
But if someone had approached, Tim Burton to be okay, you get to do Batman 3, but we want you to do Mr. Freeze, but you can do him in this you can portray him like he's an old Hammer horror villain. I can imagine Tim Burton would be all over that. And he's you get the cast Christopher Lee. And he'd be holy, yes, 100% yes, he would do that.
I would
Instead of this whole Riddler idea. It's Tim Burton and the Riddler doesn't really gel with me, but again, a Hammer horror Mr. Freeze though. And again, they were talking about doing that continuation in the comic books and stuff.
Yeah,
if they were to do that, that would have been a great storyline. Oh yeah, we brought in Mr. Freeze and we've drawn him like Christopher Lee, and it's so I think you're onto something here, Omar. You should be out pitching this to people.
Man, especially in this post Joker. Well, we're not post Joker yet. We're technically pre theatrical release Joker, but. When that being we're doing a Martin Scorsese Joker film, I feel walking in and being we're going to do a Hammer or a Castle type series of villain films for Batman stuff. I would live in the movie theaters when those come out. If it was creepy Vincent Price level Batman horror stories, I don't have enough money to give them for what I would get out of it.
We've come up with a lot of great stuff so far this week.
We really have, yeah.
Imagine now, Vincent Price. Although Vincent Price did technically play a Batman villain, and he was Egghead in the '60s show.
Don't remind me.
I'm just trying to picture him doing the Mr. Freeze, and I think, I would cry if I had any more tears left to shed.
Or a Two-Face. Oh, Vincent Price could just play through the entire Rogues Gallery, and I would watch it.
Yes. Every movie, or if it's a TV show episode, could just be Vincent Price playing a different villain.
Oh, I love that. Welcome to my Arkham Asylum. I'm Vincent Price. Yes.
Now I just want a comic book line. It's just Arkham Asylum, but Vincent Price is the kind of the Crypt Keeper character.
Yes.
Today we will look into the dastardly tale of a clown prince of crime. It's that'd be amazing.
Oh my god, let's stop this podcast. What are we doing?
Yeah.
We got to pitch Dr. Hugo starring Vincent Price. We've got it. It's here. It's writing itself.
Hell yeah.
I mentioned two other people because again this list goes on, so I'll just mention two others. One pretty good. I can imagine it, but it would be too similar. Is Christopher Lloyd, But then that's just kind of like, that's borderline Uncle Fester. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost the same makeup.
You're right. It would just be Uncle Fester.
Yeah. I mean, he could do it. That
Yeah,
would be
he
fine.
could, yeah. Because he has done it.
Yeah. I don't want to see it, but he could do it.
I remember, I think at one point when they were plotting the fifth movie, and there was talk of the Scarecrow being the villain. And I know people always go, oh, Nick Cage was supposed to play the part. But I always remember hearing Chris Lloyd was up for that as well. Like him, Jeff Goldblum and stuff. And I can imagine Chris Lloyd doing the Scarecrow. I can imagine him doing the Jonathan Crane part of it anyway. Because if you remember his character in Cheers, he was like a kind of like a dark mirror of Frasier, basically. Like this really callous intellectual guy who was a suitor for Diane. And you could just play Jonathan Crane like that. It's like, that's perfect. Just go get that guy. But
oh yeah, okay, I like that.
I suppose he could do that as well. If it was a different version of the Penguin, he could channel that into, again, the gentleman of crime and stuff. But doing this Tim Burton Penguin, it's just Uncle Fester again. And the other one I'll end on is Phil Collins.
What?
Apparently considered to play the Penguin.
No.
Yeah.
Was that just to get Phil Collins' music in the film?
Potentially, yeah. Because there was a brief period he made that movie Buster that everyone really hates. But I think Phil Collins genuinely thought he was going to be an actor for a bit. And then I guess maybe it was in the early 90s. And it just like, it ain't going to happen, Chris. Or not Chris, Phil. But I mean, you never know. Maybe he could have been the greatest Penguin we never saw. But I think we kind of dodged a bullet by at the end of the day. There's a big low of that list. As much as I would love to see Vincent Price or Christopher, I would be curious to see Christopher Lee do it at least, or I would love to see what the hell Marlon Brando would have done with it. I think Danny D is the best choice. Like he excels at the part. Everyone in this movie is pretty much perfectly cast. So people may poo-poo other points of it, but I don't think anyone else is sitting around going like, "Oh, and Michelle Pfeiffer really stunk up the place as Catwoman," right?
Just now we went through the alternative universe casting, and we just identified how well this movie is cast. Yeah, we were like, yeah, but no, yeah, but no. And with every single choice in this film, I don't have a single but no. I'm just like, absolutely, absolutely. And DeVito just like rolling around in the snow and screaming and spitting. It's just an Oscar-worthy performance. And I really mean that with no sense of irony. Like, legitimately an incredible performance.
Yeah, he deserved more recognition, I think. Because, of course, back then, even now it's only just changed, really. But back then, you didn't really win awards for this kind of movie.
No way. You barely do now. Like
you've only just started getting nominated.
Yeah, I don't think animated films had a category, unless I'm wrong. That's why because Beauty and the Beast was Best Picture in '93, was nominated for Best Picture because they couldn't put it anywhere else because there wasn't a category that existed.
Well, I wonder if in a couple of years' time they'll have Best Disney Remake.
Oh God, no! Don't tempt them again. They will do it. But more fantastic stuff from DeVito here. As you say, he's rolling around, he's screaming and things. He starts strangling Batman with his umbrella, like Triple H does with his stupid sledgehammer in the WWE. And then he utters, which this line only makes sense in this one specific situation. He says, what it all comes down to is, who's holding the umbrella?
Yep. The famous saying.
What?
Yep.
It's delivered as if it's like a joke or a pun or something, but there's no gag.
Yeah, no, my family has that stitched onto a quilt. It's one of our. It's on our family crest.
Oh, that old saying.
Imagine though, Batman's reaction is like, that the Joker would have come out with something way funnier than that.
That would enrage him more.
Although actually, the Jack Nicholson Joker would have come out with some nonsense where it's like, "Hey, never rub another man's rhubarb." Like,
right.
I mean, that's
somewhere
famous
Enigma
saying,
is just like kicking himself, where he's just like, gentlemen. It's got to work on two levels.
It does have to, doesn't it? Like we were just praising everything about this movie, but this is one thing where I'm like, what? I don't get this line. But the first movie had plenty of bizarre lines, so I'll let it slide.
it does strike me as well as like I remember I said this quite recently, talking about Face Off, and one of the most famous lines in Face Off is when they actually they confront each other with each other's faces, and Travolta says like, "Oh, it's like looking in a mirror, only not," and that line is terrible, and it just seems as if that was put that in, we'll think of something better later, and then they forgot. Like it just, and then they're like, "Oh crap, it's in the movie now," and apparently it's been used for all the promotional stuff. But I can imagine at some point they were like, "Oh, he says something here," and like, "I'll write that, but I'll fix it later. I'll come back." And then on day of shooting, Wesley Stricker, Dan Waters were there. It's like, "Oops, I guess it's in the movie now."
I can't believe they didn't do one additional take of Storm's frog line from X-Men 1, because the line, which if I'm not mistaken, was written by Joss Whedon.
I think that's the legend, yeah.
It's like, if you imagine it in like a Buffy episode, it works especially if you have like a cool, like snarky Storm that's like, I control the weather. And wait, have we're not in an X-Men universe right now, but have I given you my spiel about how X-Men 1 is kind of broken?
Oh,
no,
I don't think so.
I'll do really quick. The third act of the movie is a bunch of important people. I think it's a UN meeting, all and the Brooklyn Promenade. And Magneto is like, I'll use the Statue of Liberty, which is close-ish to the Brooklyn Promenade. I've been to New York. It's a little bit of a stretch, but close-ish, that I will turn them all into mutants. And the X-Men are like, how do we get all these people who are important human beings away from the Statue of Liberty? I guess we'll go in and we'll use like Wolverine's claw powers against Magneto. And they're like, great, that's a pretty good plan. And then Storm pipes up and goes, do you want me to do something? And Cyclops goes, yeah, why don't you give us some fog? And it's like, you have Storm, who can very easily just have like literally a storm blow through and everyone will just go inside. The movie would be done if they just had Storm use her powers to just make it rain. And they all would have gone inside. It would have been perfectly fine. But it did not happen.
That's an excellent point. That's going to really annoy me now. God damn it. It's a bit like, we might have mentioned this on the show. I can't remember. I think it might have been off mic. But both me and Niall had the same problem with that new Mary Poppins movie. Mm-hmm. Because there's a bit at the end where they're climbing up Big Ben and they have to change the time on the clock.
Right.
And they have to form like a human ladder of people. It's like, hang on, you've got Mary Poppins, she can fly.
Yeah, and her reaction then when they don't do it is, oh, for God's sake. And then she just goes and does it. It's like, you've been standing there the whole time. Why the friggin' Lin-Manuel Miranda almost killed himself doing this. And you just flown up. Yeah, it's like, what the hell, Mary Poppins? Jesus. I was teaching them a lesson. Like, there's a time and a place.
Oh my gosh, it's like an older parent, right? Who's just like, right, we could have done it, but I wanted you to know that life is difficult sometimes. And you're like, but not now. Like, not this one. Too much is hanging in the balance.
Although, one of my only beefs with that movie is, and not that he's even bad in it, but like, the oversaturation of Lin-Manuel Miranda. Because he's in, like, I remember, like, in Bert in the first movie, he's like, oh, he pops up every once in a while. Yeah. But it's like every damn scene. This character pops up. It's like, why is he here all the time? I wouldn't be surprised if Mary Poppins like, I was kind of hoping he was going to fall, just so I could get rid of him.
Deal with the competition.
You know,
I like it.
Because at the end of the day, what matters is who's holding the umbrella, and it's Mary Poppins.
There you go. That's what it's referencing.
I kind of wish this was the end of the minute now because I was like, oh, it's a perfect note to end on. I was like, no, this stuff happens.
Join us again on Friday. No. There's a little bit more.
It's like the George Costanza coming in the beginning of a meeting just saying one thing that everyone laughs at, but like, oh, we're done. I'll see you.
So we do get some quality Keaton pout going on. I haven't mentioned his pout in a while, as he pulls some kind of gadget from his belt. What could it be? It's flashing and beeping. Penguin looks very worried.
This adds so much mystery to a thing that we've been talking about since the first movie, where somehow it's the same little thing that his grappling hook does, where it just comes around on the belt. I remember since that grappling hook was introduced, we were like, how does he do that? Has he got a thing like in his gauntlet? Does he push on a button? Has he got a thing? Is it like a Spider-Man thing where he pushes the little button in his palm? How is it coming out? And then, because it's not the grappling hook, so he's obviously got a bunch of stuff back there.
Yeah.
And somehow this magically disappears by itself. Like, I need that thing, so... But it doesn't even come around from, like, the other side, which would be the logical thing. It's like, oh, the grappling hook's the right side, this comes around from the left. And it's like, well, how do you do this, Batman? Where do you get these wonderful toys that can do these things? So the
Where
mystery...
does he get these wonderful toys?
Exactly, yeah. It's like the mystery is just deepening. Of like, what the hell? And then this, because I think this is the last we'll see of the little belt thing. I don't think it's ever used in... He does have a thing in his belt in Batman Forever at the end, but he flips a switch in it, which is a different matter. But yeah, so this is just like the mystery gets foggier. It's as if Storm has come in and fogged up even more of the movie than originally intended. But I absolutely do love just this scene, though. This is just great, though, because, like, yeah, the Penguin's like, oh, yeah, I got my umbrella sword. Hey. And then it's just like Batman takes out this little mystery device, doesn't even say what it is. He doesn't need to say what it is. And then it just does, like, the spaghetti western he's holding up by his face, and then cuts the camera panning from that over to Batman's eyes, just very coolly, just staring at the Penguin. And his reaction of, like, what is this? This is no good. And then kind of slowly turn his head around.
That's bad news. Yeah.
It's so well done. It's the perfect encapsulation of what, kind of came out in the news there last year, more that Keaton basically cut out most of his dialogue in the movie. And it's just like, yeah, because if he said anything here, where he's like, well, I'll show you, Penguin, or like, I've got an ace up my sleeve, it would kind of ruin the scene. But the fact that he's just like, this guy, you guys threatened me, and he's just like, all right, take out the thing and just show it to him.
It's such a power move. It's such a power move.
That's the fact the face doesn't move. He's not even got like a smirk. He's just like, you thought you got me. You have no idea what I'm already doing.
That's scarier in a way, isn't it? Because if he smirked or smiled or something, that's not as powerful, I think. No. Doing it like this, it's like, oh, he's that sure of himself. It's not even amusing. It's like, oh, well, this is what I do. This will stop you. Yeah. It's just like going through the motions.
Yeah. So, this is like my morning routine. It's stopping Penguin.
It's nothing to Batman.
But of course, then, though, the reveal is, the Penguin looks over and sees that all his penguins are there. They've been drawn back by this device that Batman has. And it's just, he realizes now that his army has been taken over by the enemy.
Well, this is a thing, actually, Niall. I'm going to go more into it on Friday, and, as we go through. But here is what I was talking about a few episodes back. I said how the penguins don't really turn on him. And here, is part of my point in this shot. Batman has controlled them the same way it's implied that Oswald was controlling them.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're not really turning on the Penguin. They're being made to. Or are they? We'll review more on that on Friday.
Yeah, I've got stuff on the Penguin mind control thing, but it is more relevant in the next minute, I think. So
it's more complicated than anyone first imagined, I think, including me.
But yeah, so at that, shall we move on swiftly? Unless any of you guys have any more notes on this particular minute.
No, I think Umbrella was the main takeaway.
Well, the minute all came down to, Omar, was who was holding that umbrella.
That's what's most important,
right?
Something else that is important, though, is our listeners being able to find our wonderful guests and their great work that they post online. So, Omar, would you like to tell them once more where they can find you?
Absolutely.
And your greatness?
You can find me at Omar Najam on Twitter, Omar Najam Film on Instagram, and Omar Has Fun on Spotify if you so wish, which I mention because I'm a co-host of Popular Music, a podcast about pop music. So check that out. We talk about pop songs, break down their histories, the artists behind them, and also how they work with music theory. And it's all very fun. And maybe we should do a crossover episode with some Batman music in the future.
Oh, hell yeah. We're always up for that. Of course, by that you mean Seal's Kiss from a Rose, right?
Yes, 100%. Which next episode I will talk about the importance of that song and how we sort of ruined our friend's wedding because of it.
Oh my God. Oh, Jesus, this is perfect.
I'm not too sure whether to, should we leave you until the end credits of Batman Forever then, so you can save that story? Or...
Oh, maybe. I'll just repeat it. I'll just repeat it in the future.
We'll have forgotten you said it by that time.
Exactly, yeah.
It'll be hundreds of hours later.
But yeah, that's it. And then also I had a show, Thank You for Questing, which wrapped up recently. It was an RPG improvised podcast with some of our good friends, and it's very, very enjoyable. I highly recommend it. If you like RPG content or comedians telling stories, it's very heartfelt. And if you're a nerd that likes Batman, chances are you're a nerd that'll like this. So that's it. Those are the things.
Hey, well, we only have the most primo of nerds, so you know
that is true.
You guys are going to enjoy this content. Check it out. And, check us out everywhere. We're everywhere on the internet. I'm not going to go through it. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There's still a Tumblr, apparently. I don't know. Tumblr's useless. Tumblr's dead. But if you message us, I will reply, because it will come to my phone. And I will probably tell you how much I hate Tumblr, and I wish you'd use something else. But you can do it. Feel free to if you want. And buy a t-shirt. Go on our TeePublic page. Find that. If you want to be extra, extra nice, you can give us a review on iTunes as well. That's always lovely. And we will see you again on Friday, my babies!
Next time, offensive fencing. Cobblepot careens forward with his chaotically swung cutlass before a backhanded bat slap knocks him on his ass. But while a bladed bumbershoot is given the boot, what will become of the perilously placed penguin's pyrotechnic loot? Find out Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.